Hey, what's going on everyone? I hope you're all doing really well. So this video is going to be a backtesting sort of hindsight session, because obviously, you know, it's the price action that went on from yesterday, and obviously, as we know, price heavily moved to the upside, and so, it's a backtesting session, but I want to sort of go through it with you, and there's a lot to be learned. And once you're done watching this video, I suggest you go and backtest it yourself again, and really focus on the 1 minute or your execution time frame, and just look at all the opportunity that we actually had, trading that bullish leg on the the continuations. So what I'm going to do is just start on the 1 hour time frame, and I'm just going to go through price and just talk on the bit of price action, the trades. And bear in mind, I didn't take all of these trades on this 1 minute sort of leg, but I did take 2 of them, and we'll go through it, and I think you'll learn a lot from this video. So yeah, let's get into it. So the hourly time frame, if we just start here, we had this push up, which is a bullish breaking structure. We previously took out this low here. Okay, we took out that low, so this made, once we had that lower low there, this made this as the lower high, and price broke structure, and we actually wicked above this most recent swing point as well, which for me is a seek of liquidity above that high. And it actually gave me more reason that this would come back into this sort of demand consolidation area here. But as you can see, price ranged around a little bit. We actually broke structure again, but we actually just wicked above that high, and we then ranged around, and we actually pushed down, and we failed to come back into this area of interest. And although I was waiting for this, we can look at a lower time frame like the 15-minute and look for breaks of structure within these sort of swing points. Okay, so price doesn't really need to come back to here, although this is where we would like to potentially buy from. If the a lower time frame is looking bullish, then we can sort of refine our area and look to get along from here. Okay, so if I drop down to a 15-minute, see a few things we have. So obviously we had this area here, and what we can also do is refine it, if we wanted to refine it to that candle there, because we can see that's where momentum came into the market on this candle. And I do believe it was news, but it's still a break of structure. And yeah, so we can see price come down to rebalance most of that bit of inefficiency there, and then we actually started to break structure. Okay, so what we can see, we pushed down, we put in a lower high, and we actually broke structure. And this is the move that's broken above this high, and we have the last down candle, which is this candle here. Price come back into it, so essentially mitigated, and this was around spread hours, 10 p.m. and we had a mitigation there. We then broke structure again above that lower high, and we have the last down candle, which would actually be that down candle there. And we also had a level of inducement. So if I just drop down to a 5-minute time frame, I know there's quite a few drawings going on, but this is the 15-minute sort of area. We have this level of inducement, so this is equal lows, and we see a nice reaction from this area. So this is definitely a level of liquidity resting below this level. Price reacted from it, pushed off, and actually come down to sweep that liquidity. So if I just drop to a 1 minute time frame, we see a nice reaction from the equal lows. We pushed off of it, and we actually come down to sweep it, and we tapped into the 15-minute area. Now, if you're more of a beginner trader, then you could be a little bit confused on price because it's not the cleanest. Like, you know, we're not gonna always get the cleanest of price action, like, you know, 1 hour higher high, higher low, get long from the higher low, and it's not always going to be as black and white as that. And you know, the more chart work you do, the more progression and development you'll see as a trader. Okay, so we come down to sweep that low and take liquidity, and we do get a bit messy. We come down a bit further, and this is now 8 AM. Okay, just gone 8 AM, and what we see is we push up, take the high, and we actually come down to put in a new lower low. Now this is actually a really good sign because, you know, people are looking to get long early. Price comes down, takes the low, and mitigates, you know, the EQ of the 15-minute demand. And then what we can see is we start to break this high. So the most recent swing point would be this high here, and we actually break it here. So I'll just mark it on. Okay, so break of structure. Now you could definitely say this is in hindsight, but where did the move start that caused the break? Well, for me, it's definitely this candle here, because the candle after it is not mitigated. We had a wick down, but it didn't come down into this last down candle and into this wick. You could be looking at this candle, and it wouldn't be wrong, but that would be, for me, that would be the extreme. And you know, you could be looking to get along from here or even here, but this is, for me, where the move started, because it's also broken this higher here as well. Okay, so if we bring it forward, if you got in there, then you're looking at, would you be kept in the trade? Yeah, you would be. 2 pips, you'd be in the trade. Okay, if I just bring that back to this. Now, I did not take this trade because I wasn't actually on the charts at the time, but you know, this is how I would be taking it. Now, obviously, I wish I did take it because, you know, it's very clean. We come in, take the low, 15-minute POI. We start to break structure to the upside. We look for the origin of the move that caused the break. For me, it's here. It could be here for you. Now, I think I said this was the extreme a minute ago, but this is the extreme. So the lowest one is what I'm always looking to take, or, you know, where if we have a clear range and a break of structure, then we could be looking at the range. But it's all, every scenario is different. It's always about what's left behind and where's price likely to, you know, need to come back to before continuing to the upside, and where it can then commit. Okay, and the more testing you do, you know, you'll find your edge doing that. Okay, so tapped in. This would be the first trade in this sort of leg. Now there is arguably a trade there, but it wouldn't meet my plan because it didn't break with, you know, a clear sort of momentum candle. Okay, just sort of wicked it, right? So let's carry on, and you can see price does come back in to mitigate this sort of refined OB here, a little range, and then we actually push off. Okay, now one thing I forgot to do is actually how I would manage this trade. So I tapped in, and before I'm looking to move my stop loss to just above break even, I'm looking at the swing point. So this is the highest point of price at the time. So once I got tagged in, that was the highest point. I'm looking for a break above that level. We got it here, so I'm actually going to be moving to break even. I'm not going to be rushing and moving to the low because we have an area here where price is likely to come to, and even here as well. Okay, so break even, set it there, and that's perfect with me. give it a bit of breathing room to mitigate and continue. We then push up again. So this is the swing point. We break it here and we close above. So for me, it all depends how aggressive or how you want to manage your trades, but you'll find it in your own testing. Okay, so that's the swing point for me. Not here, it'll be here, because that, if price is going to continue up and show order flow, it really shouldn't be surpassing this level. It could come past this level, but this is really the swing point for me. Okay, so that's where I'm going to be managing. We had a breaker structure and we have a down candle there. Price comes back into it. That's not really a valid scaling for me because it hasn't really broken structure. It wicked it already from that high. Okay, so we're ranging. We then break structure. So would this be a valid entry? You could be looking at that, but not really for me. We have a area here where you could be looking at, but it's not really showing me too much. Would have played out, or you wouldn't have been tagged in actually if you're looking at that candle. Okay, so we can see we're clearly bullish, and once we broke above this high, I would be managing at that low, giving it like a pip or so just below it. And again, we pull back, break structure again. And that's not going to work, is it? Hold on. And we can now trail stop loss just a bit higher, below that level there. And carrying on. Okay, so this is a very clean sort of scaling trade that you can be looking at. And, we've just marked it on. We've broken structure. As we can see, just change that color, purple. So break of structure, last down candle, and this is how you'd be entering it. Now the reason why I did not take this trade is because if we zoom out to the hourly, that looks great, doesn't it? Okay, to the hourly, zoom right in, what we can see is we're approaching this high. Okay, and we've just previously taken out this high, so it's likely we could either see a deeper pullback, because as we know, highs and lows get manipulated. Once they get taken out, price reverses, just like it happens all the time. Just like here, we take out the low, price reverses. Where else? I can go through loads of examples, but you get the point. So looking at the 15, you can see that area there, and we also have this high that price is at. Okay, so I'm not looking to really scale in on that trade. So you would have been tagged in on that candle there, and once price broke structure, what you would be doing is moving your trade to break even, and then you would have got taken out. You wouldn't have taken a loss here. If you've taken a loss on this trade, then you've managed it incorrect, because price, or maybe even you stayed in that trade with a 1.5 pip stop loss. If you had 2 pips, then you'd be in. But whatever your stop loss was, once price broke structure, you would have taken a break even on that trade. Okay, but if we go back to the first entry, so once we broke structure here, I would be managing at the low, just below it, and I would have been taken out. Okay, so if I just zoom out a little bit, go to the 15, bring this down, and yeah, it's likely that I would have been taken out of this trade for around 8%, just a bit above, yeah, around 8%. And yeah, let's just move that out of the way and continue on with price. So if we carry on, we broke structure, let's just delete this off for now. Okay, and let's continue. So the reason why price sort of come down to take that low is, you know, we have this move that, you know, continued up quite aggressively, and we have a candle here, and we put in a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. We broke structure, so a lot of people would be looking at that as, you know, could we be selling this now, or is that a valid supply zone? As I said previously, it's all about zooming out and looking where the higher time frames are. Look, we're trading at that, just above that high, and we're not really at a higher time frame area to be looking at that as valid. This is just a push down to seek liquidity and, you know, to continue up, which is what exactly happened next. Okay, so always remember to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Okay, but if we continue, you can see people that were selling from this area. You know, price was trying to hold, but then ultimately we ranged and then we took out, grabbing liquidity. Okay, and if we go back to the hourly, there's one thing I need to cover. So I was looking to get short from this area, as I did put into Discord. So we have this area, so we have this high, we took out the high, so I was looking for price to take that higher liquidity, tap into this supply zone, and then potentially sell off from here. And this is refined on the 15-minute, but as we will come to see, you know, price was very bullish and we didn't get any lower time frame entries, and we actually push up, pull back, break structure, and there's no signs of selling. It's just too much bullish momentum. Okay, we're ranging and we take out the high. So this is the next sort of entry. Okay, so if we look at this, what we have is we do have an entry here, but it hasn't broken with momentum. But we have the last down candle, we can refine it to that candle there, and you would have been tagged into the trade. But you know, it hasn't broken too convincingly. But we tap in, we mitigate, and we break structure again. And you could be arguing that this hasn't broken either, but what we have is a bit of, you know, a play on liquidity. So we have a push up, we have a range. So a lot of people will be looking to get long from here because they see it as a range and then a break. But for me, what I see that as is a bit of liquidity for price to give a little reaction to that area and then come down to sweep that liquidity and then tap into this last down candle here. Okay, and this is a trade I took. So I took this trade and got tagged in, and I used a 2 pip stop loss, not 2.1, 2 pips, and got tagged in. And then once we broke structure, I moved to break even, so around there. And then I look to get involved in this next trade as well. So let me just mark it on so you don't get confused. So we've broken structure, break of structure, change the color. Okay, and then we have the same thing here. Break of structure, initiation out, mitigation of the last down candle, continuation. Break of structure, look for where the origin of the move, so what caused the break. It's not here. You can see the move started from here, okay? And it didn't start down here. We actually pulled back and then this is one move that caused the break. Last down candle, refined to this candle, and that's where my entry went, and I took this trade as well. And if we just bring it forward, price is now coming down to mitigate. We tap in, and a 1.5 pip stop loss was enough in this sort of scenario, because it's covering the low. And yeah, we then continue up, we close above, and for this trade I'm now moved to break even, and this first trade has now been moved to the same area as this second trade. Okay, so let's continue, and then you can see huge momentum. Okay, now at this point we're pulling back, and we now take out, not quite, we take out the high, and at this point I'm being a lot more aggressive, so I actually managed directly at this low for both trades. Okay, so at that low, and I didn't look at this trade, I didn't take this trade, but you know, we can, it is definitely a valid trade, but I was more so looking to manage these first two here. Okay, so again we broken structure. The move that caused a break was here, which is very clear to see. We mitigate, we tap in, and it's definitely a really clean sort of scaling trade, but I didn't take it. Okay, and also once we pulled back and we broke, I managed at this low, directly at the low, and I got taken out. I believe I got taken out, or was it this next one? Okay, so yeah, it was this next one. So we broke structure again, and I actually managed at that low there. So we can delete these ones off. And what we're doing now is just ranging about. And let's just continue. If we go to the 15, because we are getting a bit messy, you can see we push down, and essentially after that massive move to the upside, we're just ranging about, and I got taken out by that wick there. And let's just size up the percentage. Okay, so 19R and a 16R. Okay, and that's not even taking the trades down here. Now with this first trade, it's likely would have been taken out there, but if you didn't get taken out, you know, this ran for highs of 47%, and this one, bearing in mind you stayed in the trade, ran for highs of 37. Okay, so that's a crazy sort of session, or you know, a lot of percentage that we can bank just on one pair, and just from, you know, understanding what price is doing. We did have the higher time frame area, but it's always about how price is delivered into the area. As I always say, you know, we didn't get any lower time frame entries to take it short, so we take it long and just trade the continuations. If we go to the hourly, what we can see is, if I can find it on here. Okay, so what we can see, if I just delete all of this other stuff off, we don't really need it, or just hide it. Okay, so where price is now is we've taken out all these highs. We have this bullish candle, so we have a push down, a slight little pullback on a 15-minute time frame, and then a push down. Okay, last up close candle, this is where price currently is, and although it's likely that price could come a little bit higher to this area here, so we can see we have a last up close. Now you could be looking at this whole sort of area as, a consolidation before the expansion out. Price could come up to that area, but we could get entries from here. So 1 minute time frame, you can see it's just a bit messy. We don't really have, we have a break of structure, but the swing point, we have a pullback here, we break it. There are entries in here, but this is literally 7-8 p.m. and I'm more inclined to be waiting for market open, and what we may see is another push back up to take that high there, and then be getting entries short from there. But it's not impossible for price to reach this area. We could still see that, but it's about reading price and reacting to what it's showing. So yeah, I thought I would just go through a bit of back testing, and I know that I didn't send in any charts. I've been a bit slacking on sending in forecasts this week, because I've been doing a few other things in terms of content, and it's hard to be managing the community, my own trades, and sending in forecasts on time, week in, week out, because it is only just me. So I am looking to be hopefully getting a few people to join the team to help out. And as the community is sort of growing a lot over the last 3-4 months, it's a lot to handle. So yeah, I think bringing in a few great traders to help out, I think it'll be very beneficial also to be answering questions, because I'm just one person. I can't be getting back to everyone instantly. It's just not going to happen. Although I'd like to, it's just really hard. So yeah, any questions on EU, as always, send me a message in the Discord chats or DM, and yeah, that's going to do it for the video. Any questions, let me know, and I hope you all have a really good weekend.